Pyramid One World Radio. This is a Pyramid One International Network presentation. Hi, and welcome to the Bob Charles Show right here on Pyramid One Radio Network. Let me tell you about the guest coming up. His name is Dr. Randall George Nozawa. The doctor was blinded after two tragedies. Nozawa's will to live a full life continues undeterred. The doctor is living proof that a person can do everything right, only to suffer horrific events that stymied decades of hard work and left him blind. The two most gruesome tragedies he suffered would make the fire-breathing Godzilla buckle in bitterness. Not Nozawa. He's grateful just to be alive. Japanese, Nozawa had played high school football in Honolulu and later became a professional bodybuilder. When he moved to Washington, the muscle-bound Nozawa enrolled at the University of Washington's dental school, studied hard, and faithfully graduated. Yet, years later, after opening a handful of dental clinics, when he could finally afford the lifestyle he always wanted, a tree came crashing down and foiled all his best-laid plans. It was the first of two tragic events that would change his life forever. During his resilient and prolonged stay in the hospital, and as he took a year to learn to walk again, his wife Deborah hired temporary dentists to keep the clinics open. Yet, when the businesses performed poorly under the temporary staff, family finances plummeted. And with all of his medical bills accumulating, Nozawa felt he needed to return to work. That's when Nozawa realized he could not perform his dental duties to the high standard that he was accustomed. Even with assistive devices for the seeing impaired, he felt his dentistry skills were now substandard, and that's why he closed his clinics. But you probably think to yourself, man, this guy has been through it all. No. Here's the number two opportunity. Caught in the middle of a couple's domestic violence incident one fateful night, John William Brandon first shot his wife. Then he turned the gun and shot Nozawa in the head from 12 inches away before finally shooting himself. The crime shocked the community of Gig Harbor, where it occurred, and it received its due amount of attention in area newspapers. Looking back on it, Nozawa said that getting shot feels like thumping your forehead with the heel of your hand. It does not hurt. He did not yet know that the bullet had shattered and bore a hole through his palate, destroying molars, nearly severing his tongue, and destroying his only eye. All he knew was that he could not see and that he was bleeding. Missing both eyes, Nozawa has had to get used to moving about indoors and out. Shortly after the shooting and recovery, he realized that he desperately needed help learning to navigate, so he signed up for Washington State's Department of Services for the Blind. Now, at blind school, Nozawa stayed in an apartment offered through the organization and orientation and training center in South Seattle. There, he learned how to maneuver with a cane, how to find addresses, cross the street safely, and navigate a kitchen, among other things. These days, he's had global plans for his business, Transformational Kaizen Institute for Personal Freedom. Indeed, he works by phone and offers advertisement over the internet to clients from all over the world. This is not advertisement, this is advisement. He is going to advise you. So, he advises businesses in employee development and retention, in meeting long-term goals, and in growth. My signature program, he says, is a 9-step success blueprint that I have named Transforming Adversity into Opportunity. Again, transforming adversity into opportunity. This is the success formula that he uses with small and large businesses alike, for those who want to become entrepreneurs and for those who want to succeed in personal growth. Regarding his home life, Nozawa is grateful that his family has stuck by him. He says, "My wife, Deborah, had to do a lot after I was in a car wreck and again after getting shot. We went from awfully rich to rock bottom, penniless, and almost homeless." Deborah Nozawa now owns the Rustin Chapel for weddings and social events. She is also the executive manager of Picasso Catering in Tacoma. Now, listen carefully to the last part. Dreams do really come true, but you have to believe it before you can see it. This is what he said. He has made his own dreams come true by helping others pursue their life aspirations. In his free 14-page book, Precipice of Potential, which can be downloaded from his website at www.drrandallgeorge.com. Nozawa asks provocative questions to help readers examine their own lives more closely. Like, what do you do that fills you with joy and excitement? When is the last time that you gave something, anything, freely without expecting anything in return? What did you do with your last $20? Certainly food for thought, right? If you want more information about this, go to, or you can email the doctor at drrandallgeorge@yahoo.com. Now let me introduce, and it's an honor to introduce, a person whom has gone through hell and back. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, honor everything that he's done to be the person he is on this show tonight. His name is, and may I introduce, Dr. Randall George Nozawa. Oh yeah, there he is.
Hello, everybody. Wow. I'm glad I got to live and hear all that, so thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks to you, I've got this wonderful show that feeds out to 138 countries, and we get to touch a lot of lives. And
I want to remind everybody everything in it before the show starts. We have a new telephone number. It makes
oh,
it so simple that anybody with a finger and a button phone can do this. It's 609-663-0153. Yes, I can see there are many, there is a lot of people on here. If you dial that number, you will come into us. I can listen to 999 of you. At least that's what they say. But come on in. You can hear the phone. You can hear the show. You can hear anything in it. If you have a question, raise your hand. Well, not really. But what we'll do with it is, if you got a question, you got a comment or something like that, that's what these shows are for. These shows are to tell you, to teach you, to make you know there is truth out there. There really is. And you'll hear it right here from the doctor. Go ahead, Doc.
that's great. Like I said, thanks to you, I've got this incredible show, and we've probably been doing this for close to a year now, maybe over a year, and I have so many wonderful guests on, like we have today. Uh, through a very close friend of mine, Patrick Herbert, who's also the co-host of my YouTube show, I get to meet Derrick Rashad Beach. Yes, Hollywood name, and he's just one of those kind of nice guys. I don't know, what he looks like and all that, but he's just just a studly name, so he must be a studly guy. So yeah, please enjoy, right?
He looks
But
better than me, Doc. Don't worry about it.
yeah, just I welcome him to the show, and we're gonna dive into a myriad of questions. But well, for one, to have him explain more about his M.O.R.R.E M.O.R.R.E institution, and which is he'll explain it better. One for education and a complex and complete education, not only for the teacher, but all those youth out there that really need it. And youth meaning of all type of skin colors, right? And from socioeconomic status that's low or even lower, and to get all of those folks online and in sync with everyone, so they all can live prosperous lives and get to know each other, because especially crucial at this time now when we've got everyone's afraid of this virus thing, and which you can barely see under an electron microscope, but everyone's scared of that. And what's boiling over now is of the just the racial unrest that's going on, and I think it's morphed into something else, but a lot of conflict and a lot of distractions. And it's just wonderful to have a guy like Rashad on to explain things. And Rashad, welcome for one thing, and you've got a 138 country audience here for you. But in brief, go over your background, as a child, and what led you to you into adulthood, and then the formation of the M.O.R.R.E program. So welcome, and give us a bio sketch of who you are, so the audience can get to know you a little bit better.
Dr. Randall, I'm honored once again to talk with you, and Bob, it's a pleasure to meet you. Dr. Randall, as you know, the education system is failing us in a lot of areas.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And from my perspective, I look at it that we don't make excuses. That if we see something failing, well, it's our responsibility to make something happen about it. That is our responsibility. If not you, who? If not now, when? So that's my initial perspective. But growing up on the East Coast, I think I had a pretty good education, but I recognized there was some mental health issues, you might say. My attention span, I kind of drift off after a while, So I had some, not that I didn't grasp, but again, as any child, and if you send a child to school with a sugary diet, that child's going to be bouncing off the wall for the next 2 or 3 hours. So it's hard for that child to have a good attention span. So that was one of my issues growing up. But I'm thankful that I made it through and I wasn't without any medication or anything like that. Played high school sports, played basketball, and I recognized, and it was obvious, that when you play sports in school, you kind of get a pass. Regardless of your intellectual ability, whether you can, make the grades or not, you're there to play ball. And so you're basically guaranteed to pass, regardless. And we see this all the time in our society, that a lot of athletes, whether they can read or not, doesn't matter, as long as they can play ball. And, colleges get upset with, they had the one and done. That no, they need a little bit more for their investment. Stay a few more years before you can go pro. College industry, multi-million-dollar industry. So I look at those factors, but I look at, and again, having 3 granddaughters, looking at the quality of education they were getting. And I had to be concerned because as parents and grandparents, we do our part to contribute. But I seen that there had to be something more. There had to be more to it, because as a adjunct professor in a local college here, I've seen that a lot of people were entering college and wasn't ready. They were not ready. After 12 years, 12, 13 years, if you want to go to pre-K, 12 years, they would still have to take developmental courses. Reading comprehension, math, basic math, English. Not coming from a foreign country, not here, growing up here, have to take developmental courses in English. For me, that was child abuse. Child abuse. So that's where M.O.R.R.E got started. And give you a history of the name. M.O.R.R E means of redeeming and revolutionizing education. Now, initially, the idea for M.O.R.R E started out from reading a book on capital punishment in Texas. There's a book written about 25 years ago, The Rope, the Chair, and the Needle. And it touched on capital punishment. And one of the things to read, one of the many things fascinated me about that book, but one of the things it said that for a person to be considered whether they would get the death penalty or not, they had to have some redeeming social quality. Something in there, had something redeemable. And I was like, wow. And when you can write off a person that says that person has absolutely no redeemable quality, wow. And fast forward to education. School closings. The state wanting to take over schools, privatize schools, wanting to close schools, and basically saying those schools have no redeemable qualities. That those kids, those children that are going to those schools being labeled as disadvantaged, underprivileged. Now you're labeling a child for 12, 13 years that his community is failing. His education is underserved. He's in a disadvantage, he or she's in a disadvantaged position. What does that do to the psyche of a child? Basically writing off, and I'm seeing that generations have been written off. Whether we, a lot of people don't see it like that, but from what I see, that's basically what's happening. Either they're being, and I'm gonna give it to you raw, guys. I'm gonna give it to you raw.
No. I was just gonna say, go for it.
Yeah, please.
That they're either being totally written off, or they're being guaranteed to be an underclass for the rest of their lives. Being written off, or being that guaranteed that there's going to be an underclass. That there's going to be an underclass for the next years to come. That, as we move from a producing economy to a service economy, well, we need servants. We need people. Yeah, we need people to man those stations. Yeah. So, and we see that, I see that being done through the educational system. If you deny a person the right and the privilege to an education, what happens to that individual? What kind of society? We live in a republic, a representative democracy. Well, it takes intelligent people to run a democracy. And if this is a civilization, well, civilized people need to stay here, need to live here. And if you're basically animalizing our children through the media, through just dumbing down our system, what do we expect?
Bingo. You just said the same word, same thing I said. Same thing I said on a show about 2 shows ago or something. Yeah. Dumbing down.
Yep. That's right.
I said that. It's funny you should say that because that is what's going on.
Right. And again, if you have American citizens, American children have to take developmental English when English is their primary language, reading is their primary language, and you telling me they need to take developmental courses after 12 years? You know, if you guys are blessed to continue this for 12 years, I mean, you're pyramid. You're at the top. You're at the top. So in any profession, if you've been in there for 12 years or more, you're a professional. You're a professional. So when we see that occurring, and for some people, it's hard to believe that is there actually a concentrated effort to do this, or is this just a byproduct of something? Dr. Randall, you asked me earlier. I got your email, and you asked me about the question about how Black and Latinos with the student debt.
Yeah.
You got a failing education system, then you got debt. And when we look at debt from the student loan, and we look at, and I might say it jokingly to keep from crying, why do you think they call it a MasterCard? Why do you think? Yeah, because the debtor is enslaved.
Yep.
American Express, yes, that's the quickest way for us. Yeah, Visa, if you want to, you can travel the world and be in debt anywhere. You can be in debt anywhere in the world, and it's stifling. It's stifling. It's stifling to those communities, and that we understand credit that may I'm not sure, but I don't think the credit the impact that the student loan, I don't think it ever goes away.
No,
I don't think unless you pay it off, you can never live it down. So what does this do to your credit accessibility?
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at the ways and means, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, debt. That if just a few points in your credit score, that equates to how much more interest you'll pay directly. There's a correlation.
Yeah, you never really pay the principal until the very, very end. You're paying interest over and over and over and over.
Right. So the economic system, and you have one of the things with M.O.R.R.E, and we will be getting into this in developing as we go on. Financial literacy. You're having 18-year-olds, 17, 18-year-olds signing off on $50,000. And you hadn't taught them anything about financing. There's nothing being taught. And when looking at the bureaucracy and what you can or cannot teach, that you're not really there, it's not really allowed to be taught the in-depth. I mean, you can be taught about balancing a checkbook, debit card, the basics, the general, but really interest, how it's compounded, and understanding that you're signing off something that may be 29% interest rate. And you're giving freshman college students a MasterCard, a Visa, discover. Yeah, they're going to discover some things that they're in a world of trouble.
You ever notice what's missing? You ever notice what's missing in school? Home economics. It has been thrown out of every single school that I know of.
They don't teach that anymore. Yeah. Yep.
It's gone. What you're talking about to be taught used to be in home economics.
Right.
It talked about checkbooks, savings accounts, typing, cooking, all the things that you need to base everything else on. Right. The foundation's gone.
And every year, I forget the number of how many children graduate from high school. So say if a million children across the United States graduate. So a large proportion of them are functionally illiterate. They haven't been, and if when you talk about the single parent family, the mom or dad that maybe has to work 2 jobs, that probably themselves are in debt and can't really afford the time and the effort to contribute to the child's education. So really relying on the school, on the public education system, becoming dependent. And what we see with this pandemic that we're going through, if the parent, in a lot of cases we're seeing now, the parent can't work, and because the child's is home, so the child, and hopefully they're taking advantage of that homeschooling opportunity. But what does that do to continually depress their economic situation? That they maybe find some silver lining through this process, but what is that doing to that economic growth and development? Are we going to be better off? I think not. Because the way it's been set up, that what I'm seeing is ensuring that there's going to be an underclass. That it's going to be an underclass. That when you deprive an entire community, that, we hear about communities that are food deserts. There's no grocery stores in that area. There's no retail marketing in that area. What about that education desert, that educational desert, that there's no schools, there's not even public libraries in certain areas. Mm-hmm. Wow. So I said all of that. That's what M.O.R.R.E is all about, to help correct some of those issues that we're facing as a society. That be the change, that I can no longer sit idly by and see this happen. That I can't. And looking to join with Bob, you and 100. I'm looking to enjoy with everybody that's willing, that understands what we're going through is really a crisis. The COVID-19, whatever you want to make. But the crisis is really in our educational system, and it's really in our economic system. That you're perpetuating poverty. You're perpetuating indebtedness. You're perpetuating not only miseducation, but no education. So that's what M.O.R.R.E is all about. That's my passion. That's where I'm at.
It's funny though. You came from Chicago,
right?
And was it PSD or whatever? And at the agent, the people that take care of the schools and everything, I forget what it's called, P something or other, is headquartered up there. And for years, it was always banging heads all the time. I used to call them. I used to go up there. The one time I happened to visit up there, and that they said, "Oh, they treated me so nice. They were so cool." It was like, "Oh, Mister, this and that." And I was like, guys, I've been talking to you guys for like 3 years, and you still haven't done crap. Why? Right. And I'm sorry. I'll be very literal. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to swear at them or anything, but crap is crap. Hey,
Right.
and it's not, I look at all kinds of things like teachers, first of all. There's your first fault. They're not paid.
Right.
They are screwed left and right. They go through school and everything else. I mean, South Carolina for one thing, and that because I know that very well. I live there, and they're getting like I don't know, maybe $29,000 to $30,000 a year for a teacher.
Wow.
Huh? What are you kidding
Wow.
me? And they're
Wow.
paying. The thing that knocked me on the floor one time, and I swear I wish my partner was somewhere around the studio. I bring her in here. I almost fell on the floor one day. They got to pay because the kids don't have pencils. They didn't have papers.
Mm.
But if they were going to get computers into the school, they had to wait for some kind of a donation or something from somebody to get a couple of computers.
Wow.
I went out of their mind. I said, guys, come on. You can do this all over the whole United States just by putting out the word and saying, listen, this is what we need. They're,
Exactly.
people, it's their kids. They
Oh my.
will help. Let's face it, if every single person in this United States, and God, my judge, where I'm sitting, if every single person in the United States chipped in $5, $5, every single person that has $5 in your pocket, put $5 in a donation. And I'll bet you that every single state could benefit from that $5 from every person that has $5.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, do you know how many millions of dollars that would be?
No
And
doubt.
what happens is, what do? They put up lotteries. Oh, this lottery is for the school. This lottery is for this. The teachers are buying pencils because the lottery that was 20 billion miles or something or whatever didn't work. Are you guys still with me?
We're with you. We're with you.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
because Skype just went. I mean, not Skype, but the broadcaster just went poof.
No, I hear you're just fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, it's on Skype and it's recording, so I'm not gonna touch it. Let's see what happened over here. Close. Okay. So let me get rid of that, and I'll bring it up again, and I'll turn it back on. But you guys can keep on talking because you're on Skype, and Skype is
No,
recording
no,
it.
this is great. No, no, thanks for bringing all that stuff up because, well, no, I learned a lot from you, Bob, from just being on the show, and then a lot from you, Rashad, from just just listening to you, and I reflect on my own growing up, and uh, you think things would progress and we would all be modernized, but other than all the neat devices that people use these days, our educational system, to me, is so poor, because just like you said, we go through this educational system from kindergarten or pre-K to grade 12. You find out that come grade 11 or 12 that these kids are still not uh, minimally proficient enough to pass English, basic English, or just basic math. And these guys are either going to head into the community, or they might even think about going to college. And then to take remedial classes just to get into college, it tells me that their past previous 12 years in school what was not efficient. And I look at the educational system, and it's not purpose driven. It hasn't kept up with all the new technology, and it doesn't bring out the best in people. And just like you said, it's like Bob says, you get to just dumb down everything. Good gosh, we're in this 2020 year, okay, and both of you talking about an educational system that you got to dumb it down. Good grief. And people are just complaining about, oh, China this, China that. Well, I don't think they dumb things down over there.
Right.
And so that's why I like your M.O.R.R.E Institution and your M.O.R.R.E program, because you not only there's a place in there to educate teachers, is that you bring up out the best out of all these kids. You tell them that it is possible. You tell them it's okay to dream, but with that in mind, things won't just drop into your lap. Like that lottery ticket. You pray, pray, pray,
Right.
pray, never win, right? And said,
No.
okay, that means you got to earn it. You got to earn it. You got to get out there, okay? And you've been given all these abilities, and whether you believe in God or not, I do. You're given all these wonderful abilities, and with a purpose, with determination, with intention, you can go, better yourself. You can learn anything you want, because as much as there's these things with the internet where it's a lot of surveillance, a lot of censorship, a lot of this and that. You can still find a lot of things on the internet you can learn, and I think that that's so important for our youth right now. And when I look at the racial unrest, and when you look at statistics on poverty and the poorest, when you look at where people live and their ethnicity, what you find is that they weren't educated enough, and they were never told that they could do it. So
Right.
One is that attitudinal wise, and for self-reflection, self-identity in class, a lot of these kids, and I think based on what their parents make, or the color of their skin, a lot of times is that they're told either directly or indirectly that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, give up now, why even come? And so
Exactly.
with that in mind, when you're a kid going, wow, I'm not even wanted here. They call me bad
Oh,
names out there, and they're not. My teacher doesn't even want me here. So you build this generation, and from there it's partially color skin, but mainly it's not. It's like depending what this teacher feels about her class, and yes, they're all underpaid. These kids, that's their identity. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. They don't even want me here. And so, that's why your M.O.R.E program just excites me, because you offer hope to everyone. You tell them that you can do it. You've got the skills. You've got you've got the gifts for all that, and we can help you develop that. Because
right.
unless they believe it, that they're just like my saying goes, unless you believe it, you can't see it. You got to believe it first. You got to believe in yourself, and so that's why I'm excited about your program and getting this out there to everyone, because we need it. Our educational system right now it's a total failure. Our college system right now, it's like, yes, it's called college, but it's all general information, but nothing is taught about what interests these youth. Okay, well, what really makes their heart go? What pulls at their heart? What can they create, as opposed to, oh, what kind of job can I get? Well, how do you make a company better? How can you be
Right.
better? You see, because it's not like, hey, I want to sign on to Microsoft and I just ride that until retirement and all that stuff. Well, Microsoft doesn't need you.
No,
And how
yeah,
about
no guarantee.
that's right. And how about building your own Microsoft?
Exactly.
Or whatever it is, and things like building something bigger and better than that. What about a heart-driven worldwide company where love comes first, and that's what you teach, and that's how you make your millions of dollars by teaching unconditional love. How about that? Well, how do I do that? You figure it out.
Let me jump in here for 2 seconds,
Yeah,
because that's a segue for me.
yeah,
Funny, see, Derek, we work together. But what I was going to say was funding in the United States. Now we were just talking about that, about the teachers making garbage money, et cetera.
yeah.
Public school funding in the United States comes from federal, state, and local sources. But now here's the but. Because half of those funds come from, or actually three-quarters of the funds come from local property taxes.
That's right.
Okay? There you go.
Yes.
Yeah,
The system generates large funding differences between the wealthy and the impoverished communities, depending upon how much you pay property taxes in all these places. Now, we're not just talking houses, we're talking big companies and everything else. So, if you're in Newark, New Jersey, if you know where Newark, New Jersey is, then you're in an impoverished area, and that where rents are very low, there's no taxes coming out of any of the places or anything else in that. So the school, they're so proud, they give them like 60%, the taxes that go to the school, but it's so little they can't buy the pencils. But if you're in Hollywood, California, and your parents are making, I don't know, maybe 5 million in a bad year or something. Oh man, your schools are charter schools, and that you're getting a 12th year education in 6th grade by the best teachers in the world, by teachers that are making $200,000, $300,000 a year, not $30,000 a year. What I think has to be done, and Derek, please correct me if I'm wrong here. What I think should be done is schools, for instance, town school, like regular public schools, should be treated the same. If you're going to fund a school by the student. But right across the board, every single student in the entire United States gets the exact funding. Therefore,
Why not?
What I'm saying this way, but it's not adding more money. It's dividing the money.
Right.
It's not giving the people who would get the same education on the West Coast as the same education you could get on the East Coast.
Exactly.
Just by taking each student and making the student that lottery ticket. That kid, that child, that love that's in that school would make, for instance, let's say we gave, we spread it out and it was $100 a kid and you had $100 kids in the school. So how much you got? Okay. So now you got a school in California. They got the same amount of kids, but they get the same amount of money because they got the same amount of kids. Now, if somebody wants to throw in more money from an outside entity somewhere, that's okay. You could do that. But you would even out the money that's funded to each child to up their education to the next level just by going right across the board and saying, look, every single student gets this much in funding, regardless of where they are.
And, Bob, that several things come to mind. One first and foremost, well, a lot of what's going on in the media is simply a distraction. Okay, and when we're in an election year.
You're being nice too.
Yeah, we're in an election year, and the big focus is on the presidential thing. But what the next thing that comes to mind is people that vote, people who are actively engaged in the political process, holding their elected officials accountable, accountability, and not holding those who are on the school board, the Board of Education, those officials, because this keeps going on. And until we hold them accountable, and even holding ourselves accountable, well, first of all, the responsibility for me is well, first it falls on me to educate my children, my grandchildren, whatever the case may be. And then we look to, all right, they're controlling our taxes. Well, we're going to hold them accountable and make sure they're fairly distributed. Fairly distributed.
Has to be even done. Yeah.
Yeah. So accountability and not getting distracted from stuff that does not matter. Oh my goodness.
You ever notice what's going on? You're on the right track, believe me. You ever notice what happens in that they have, like, for instance, you take these voted in people, and they are going to make sure that everybody gets what you say. If you say, $100 a kid, okay, they're going to get $100 a kid.
Yeah.
And of course, that to the people that are listening, believe me when I tell you, this is hypothetical. But $100. So they get the $100 and everything else. Now there's another community. A bunch of people. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I can't give them an educated word, because if I did that, they're not educated anyway. But they bring in these people, and they're supposed to oversee the overseers.
Oh my God.
What is? Come on now, you're with me now, Derek. They're checking out what the other guy is doing. Okay, which one is more corrupt than the other? You know what I mean? It's like you look at a piece of paper and say, oh, well, okay, they took this many millions of dollars. Okay, this thing here goes for the schools and everything else. You think they're going to check and see if each kid got $100? You think they're going to find out exactly how many kids that are going to each one of those schools or each one of those classes, which are in? You can get the information if you go online.
Yes.
They're going to do that. And then the people that check out what the other people are doing, they'll go, okay, they charted $667,000 net for Rhode Island, say, for
Yeah.
kids. Okay. So the other guy comes in for the oversight and he goes, yep, that's what it says in my book. You're okay. But did the money really go to the kids? Or did the money go to the mayor of the town or the principal of the school or vice president?
Administrative.
Administrative, right, exactly, costs. And then by the time it gets to the kids, that $100 net is now 100 cents.
Yes.
Yeah, just enough to buy two pencils. And yeah, well, see that they bought pencils. They bought pencils. Sorry. But what you're doing right now, I'm telling you, it is a hard job because to get people like you, I, Doctor, even Patrick, and that when Patrick was on here,
Yeah.
we think in two colors, black and white. That's it. We don't see color. Colors don't exist in our world at all. There's either right or wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
If you stay on the right side of things and keep down that path, you will bring up everyone with you,
Yes.
when you do it.
Yes.
You will everything will rise. If you go on the other side, ooh, man, that's the wrong path because you're going down a rabbit hole. And when you go down that rabbit hole, you're finished. You're gone. You're finished. Puts up the dirt and, that's it. You're buried. And that's what is going on in the schools right now. There's too many rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Or
And-
so, whichever way you want to put it, because let's face it, you just flush the toilet and there it goes. Oh, yeah, a couple $1,000,000. Well, where'd that go? I don't know. I'm serious.
And Bob, when you asked me, for just to give you some things about myself, and just when initial contact,
Yeah.
I mentioned about the children being our most valuable resource.
Mm-hmm.
I
Absolutely.
mean, and this is across the board, whether they're in Santa Monica, Pasadena, wherever, or Newark or Providence, that is our resource. What can we expect if we neglect that most precious and valuable resource? What are our expectations? What can we expect if half of the schools are failing? I mean, where are we? And that's maybe that's why space exploration is coming back, because we're gonna have to leave here because dumbing down is and we're old enough to recognize chicken crap from chicken salad.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
There's a difference, and they've been giving us the crap, but serving it, as chicken salad, and with that dumbing down effect. I mean, this is just not started. This has been going on, and people think that, all right, they vote for their official, and that official is going to do right, but nothing has changed.
Mm-mm.
Nothing has changed, and again, we've regressed. We've gone backwards. There's an idea or concept that each generation should do better than the previous. Right? That's not an unrealistic expectation.
While you talk about education, do you know that all those people that you're talking about to get voted in that to do the job for us, okay? Nobody, absolutely, and trust me, at 3 o'clock in the morning, and when I'm on the computer, I got people writing me from all over the world. I'm serious. Some of it I got to translate, but some of these people, or all of them, say in one way or another, and that those people that you vote for, never ever does people that vote for them ever go and research on them. What did they do? Where did they come from? What did they do before? How did they get to where they were on their first step? How about the second step or the third step or the fourth step? Nobody looks backwards. Nobody. They think of history as it's a class I take in third grade, But on the other hand, if we did, we would see who to vote for and who not to vote for.
Right.
Is he just as passionate about his job or the position that he's going to now as he was 10 years ago?
Exactly.
That would work for me. You know, if a guy is as ecstatic on doing or changing things that he was 10 years ago, I'd vote for him anyway. I don't care who's running
Right.
because the guy has the energy to go forward with something that is going to do us good or our kids good. Actually, heck with me, man. I mean, let's face it, we're three-quarters of the way to the other side, so that doesn't matter to me, you know. But when it comes to the kids, look, I got a grandkid too that's 3. You
Right.
know, and he goes to his little kindergarten things or whatever they doing that with kids and everything else. And this kid is brilliant. I'm telling you. I keep telling my daughter, all the time. I said he takes after your father. Boy, do I get hell on that one. But on the other hand, though, there are schools up there, and she's right on the edge of Connecticut, New York State, and right over the down the road, and that you can go over the Hudson River from
Right.
where she is. That's where she is. And
Stafford, Grant area. Yeah.
yeah, they got different schools up there than we had here. There's
Right.
more foreigners that are in school that are teachers that teach like maybe they were taught or their parents taught or they were taught in their own country or whatever. Different type of education than we get, for instance, right here in Lakeland, Florida. Lakeland, Florida, and I know a couple of teachers down here too, and they go by the book. Florida gives them a book, they go by the book. I have never, ever in my entire life ever gone by a book. I'm always outside the book. I'm somewhere else all the time. But I'm serious. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I was the kind of kid in school that I failed algebra 1 3 times. 3 times. Once freshman, once in was a summer school, and once as a sophomore. But all the other classes in higher math, I passed 1, 2, 3. I think
Yeah.
the lowest grade I had was a B in higher scientific math.
Right.
But the ordinary stuff, forget about it. My mother was the one that taught me math, and I took that into college and became, I got a BA in business and finance.
Uh,
So, hey, I mean, that was just like, what are we doing to our kids? We're doing the same thing. We're going by the book.
and Bob, you said something in relation to your granddaughter or grandson,
Grandson.
grandson. And I hear this from a lot of parents and grandparents, and especially in those early years, that child is so smart, and that all children they're like sponges. They're absorbing their
Mhm.
environment. But ironically, a lot of those children, by the time they get past the third, fourth grade, we've lost them.
It's
There's
not
no more.
exciting. It's not that
It's
because it's
not.
not
It's
exciting anymore.
yeah. It's nothing. There. Yeah. There's nothing new and exciting. And then
Mhm.
just and again, I think that's where the conditioning begins to chime in. That there's no tapping into the innate genius in those childs. And I think before the in pre-K whatever those child care centers they're referred to as Montessori. That
Mhm.
dealing with the senses and all that, their awareness and the touching and feeling and exploration to investigate, to see, and a lot of times parents, and maybe from a lower economic situation, that if a child has a toy, say, well, Johnny, if you tear up that toy, you're not going to get another one. But that child wants to tear it up, especially young boys. We want to see what's in it. And when that inquisitiveness is stifled, man, that yeah, I want to tear it up and see what makes this thing go and put it back together and give me something that, yeah, we have to feed that. We have to feed that inquisitiveness. And we look at child development. One of the early stages of child development, we notice that a child will go through the why stage, or no, the no stage. That, hey, daddy, come here. No, here, eat your food. I don't want it. And then that child goes through somewhere like that why. Well, dad, why? Mommy, why? Shut up. You ask too many questions. Oh no. Give that child an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to know how you address that. Well, here, let me show you. Because at this day and time, we have the technology. my $6 million man reference. We have the technology. It's there. Let me show you. You know, but that parent probably coming home from work stressed out and, mommy, why? Oh, I don't know. Ask your dad or whatever. No. Provide answers to those children. Give them answers. And that's what, you know, first it starts at home. We're not going to take the responsibility from home. We're not going to take that. The ultimate responsibility lies in that home setting. And the school should supplement that, not the school supplementing, you know, the home, or, you know, vice versa. But we prepare our children for school, not expect the school to prepare our children, that our children go in there ready. They're ready to learn. They have the pencils. They have the equipment. Their minds are open. And we don't send them to school to close their mind. No, that's that, you know, the arena of human interaction, and it's changing. Now it might be the arena of Skype and Zoom and all that, but we need that. Those children need that open environment that they can receive ideas and share ideas. That is priceless. And when you stifle that at that early age, that child, you know, this so showing so much potential, and next thing you know, that child is disciplinary labeling. The labeling comes in, and all of that, and then all right, here we go, another generation, and then we might want to point out to the few that made it through. Well, then yeah, there's going to be a few that made it through, but the vast majority are not. The vast majority, and when we look at the correlation between literacy and the prison population, the lower the literacy, the higher the prison population. I mean, there's a direct correlation. We see it. So, you know, for me, it's obvious, and that's why M.O.R.R.E was developed, man, to try to help for those who need a little bit more, to remove the veil, if you will. That, hey, it's there for you. And, you know, again, and Dr. Randall, how, you know, I shared with you that the two main components is exposure, that we want to expose them. Now, and then we don't want to limit, you know, and again, it's child abuse to say, hey, Johnny, you can be anything you want to be, but you're only showing them a limited amount of possibilities. That, well, you could be a truck driver, you can work at the restaurant, you know, there may be only 4 or 5 possibilities, but no. Or, you know, one of my favorite things, you know, that you know, I did a lot of study on Malcolm X, and in his autobiography, it was mentioned that when teacher asked him, well, Malcolm, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, a lawyer. And the teacher said, well, be more realistic. Like, oh, how can you tell a child that? Why can he be a lawyer?
Wow.
You know, that, you know,
not good.
You're just be more realistic, really? So those type of things that, I mean, we have to combat. And again, being the change, and not taking away the self-responsibility, the community responsibility, and then those who we elect to represent us, to hold in our best interest, holding them accountable. That's what it's all about. That's to me, that's where we start. And not only start, that's where we continue. That has to be the process. Has to be a process. Self-accountability, and those that we entrust to look out for our best interests, to make damn well sure they do so.
No, that's wonderful. You know, just I like to listen to you guys talk, but see that's why, you know, I don't think that just our political system is worth a damn, and I'd say get rid of it. And I like the idea of leadership, which, you know, Rashad, that's what you are, and that's what you are too, Bob. You guys are leaders. I'd rather pin the hopes on that, because our political system is broken, like our educational system is broken, like these. You know, with our teachers that want to go into teaching, and you've noticed all of this yourselves too, is that, you know, that they start off fresh out of school just excited and can't wait to go to work, and after a few years they're going, oh crap, why did I choose this? Can I go back to school and do something else? Because they're
Right.
following a system that's failed. They don't make any money. And just like you were saying, you can't even get your kids just regular pencils, graphite pencils and paper, the rudimentary amount. So it's like you're already squashing their dreams. And I'll bring up this one lady. You might know her. She was Teacher of the Year back when, Marva Collins, and I think she had worked in Chicago, but hers was she worked at a funded school, and it was not a public school, so she got to do her own curriculum. She's taking these first graders, second graders, she's all through the I think the first to sixth grades, and she sits them down, and primarily all Black Latino kids, primarily because inner city. And what she's doing to them, she goes, "Hi everyone, I'm Marva Collins. I'm your teacher, and we're going to be learning French today. We're going to be learning chemistry. We're going to be learning physics. Okay? Any questions? Well, what's that? You'll find out." And so what she did, which won her that Teacher of the Year award, was that she told these kids, "You can do all this. You're smart enough to do it." And so they believed her. Once she installed that belief in them, you got these first graders learning French, learning physics, learning chemistry, and you know how smart kids are. Like you're saying, Rashad, they're smart. And so
Right.
let us expand that, and let us dump as much good knowledge in there as possible, because that's our future right there. When you say resources, like all of us here, we're kind of north of 30 years old, right? But look at all these kids there. They're going to be running the country. They're going to be running the world.
Exactly.
They need to be damn smart. They need to be critical thinkers. They need to have big hearts, make sure that they care about everybody else, and it's not just for me and all that. But they are the ones that are going to drag us up, because look what we've done to ourselves. We're all locked down. We're afraid of a virus we can't even see under an electron microscope. Okay.
Right.
And just stop that. And there's so much misinformation out there. And like Mark Twain was saying many years ago, it's misinformation, or is it you're uninformed? You're misinformed, you're uninformed. Okay.
Yes.
So we've got to make more sense of that. But see, what you do and your M.O.R.R.E program is that I think that could be a template of what a public education system can be. Okay, because they've lost their way. Both of you know that they're coming up just to increase, try to get kids, I don't know, smarter maybe. They give them all these different type of standardized tests, and instead of Washington, they call it WASL. And so what happens there? You study for the test. That doesn't mean anything, but it makes the teachers look good, so they might get bonuses or something like that. The kids learn nothing except to pass a certain type of test that doesn't help them.
Exactly.
And what a waste of time. And so after a while, that when my daughters went through school, they go, "Well, what's this WASL thing?" Oh, they kind of terminated it. Well, why? Everyone's failing it. I go, really? Wow. Okay. So is that the teacher's fault or you guys? Well, we don't even know what that is. And they're trying to force us to memorize a certain way how to answer questions. I go, well, that's not learning. That's kind of like you want to just
rote learning. Yeah.
You see, and so that's why your M.O.R.R.E program, I think, might be more valuable than you think, because one, I don't like politics, and especially with education, there's a system that's being taught there, and it's just a minimal level. I'll just use what you guys have said before. You're dumbing down. You're making the kids dumb, and you're telling them that they're dumb, so they're going to believe it. That's our future, everyone. Those kids are our future. My gosh. And besides that, how are they going to, when they grow up, how are they going to treat their families, treat their spouses, treat their children? They're going to react. They're going to socialize like they were taught. Not good enough, not smart enough. Do the minimal amount, things like that. And then don't be creative. Don't think, don't dream. And look at that, and then from there, generational, and especially like Rashad, like we've been talking about before, is that, hey, you're a black kid, there's nothing for you. Guess what? Okay, unless you can hit a three ball or slam dunk, you got nothing going for you. Okay, And so from there, they're going to believe that and going, wow, I don't even like basketball. Really? Oh, no. And so what happens then is that where do you find your income from? Gangs, or you get to sell drugs. Okay. And now you live up to the stereotype. And from there, you hit the skids, you go lower and lower and lower and lower. And yeah, and this happens in the white population too. When you talk about low socioeconomic status, right? Those white kids that one, they can't read, they don't do math, and they watch their parents do the minimum amount. Okay, and then they have no hope. They don't dream. I can't be like Bill Gates. He's really smart. I can't be like Warren Buffett. Stuff like that. And not that those guys are great and all that, but it's like they followed their dreams. But once you don't have dreams, guess what? You have what you have, and you know what you know. And so education, the way you're proposing it, is just expansive, because it's just more than the reading and writing. It's like your critical thinking, and you're saying, how do I put my dream into reality? What's it take? What's it take? And it's not that you can't do it by yourself. You got to collaborate. So before in the past it was a competition. I say now it's more collaboration, cooperation. Okay, because how do I do this? How do I do this? And because you get those the energy together in a group and all that, and some people are just gonna it's gonna just synergize and say, well, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do you build a rocket that can go more than a foot, kind of deal? And so I know, let's try this, let's try. And so you enhance that creativity. And I think that's why I like your idea of the M.O.R.R.E program is, and if that could be taught to whoever runs the public schools, which is Betsy DeVos, and she doesn't care, is that would be something. Because now the teachers can say, okay, because you got all these wonderful teachers out there, they just let them loose, let them go teach.
Yeah,
As opposed to,
Doctor, I've got something to add to that, and I was going to give
please.
it to Derrick and that before, but you're on the right track. Why aren't teachers exciting?
Yeah.
Why aren't teachers excited? Why aren't teachers mad scientists? Those kids are their creation, their invention.
Yep.
They should go to work, or what we call work and they call school. Why don't they go to that school that they can't wait to get there?
Yep.
They can't wait to see these kids. They can't wait on their next project. They can't wait on what the kid brought her or him from their homework about a project or something. Nobody's excited anymore. Why?
And Bob, let me interject. And I don't know about you, Bob. I know with Dr. Randall and we're from the George Carlin School of Thought.
Yeah.
Government is concerned that I love my country, but I don't trust our politicians collectively. And all right, let me also say the second part of exposure expectation. Dr. Randall, you touched on that. And now, Bob, what you were saying, all right, you mentioned earlier about the just the pencils and funding, but now it should be internet connections, exploring. I mean, every school should. Now, the game has changed. All right, yeah, we need the technology. I mean, if we're the and it just chaps my hide. I'll say it like that. That say we're in the richest country in the world. We're we're number one. Well, show it in your educational system by funding that. I mean, we got Microsoft, we got Dell, we got all these computers, and by the pencil days are gone. The pencil days are gone. We in just exploring, and that kids nowadays. All right, every kid. If a kid don't have one of these devices, one of these cell phones, a lot of times that's a socioeconomic status. What a person can do with that device, Bob, you mentioned about being up, 3-4 o'clock in the morning. The information that you can get, I mean, whatever time you're on there, it's at our fingertips.
Oh yeah,
fingertips.
Oh yeah.
And why aren't the schools taking advantage of this. And I've seen the disparities. I've seen the disparity between the under, and I hate using this term, but
well, you know what? Hey, before you go any further, they did tap into that because of COVID.
Yeah, right. And that's one of the silver linings of this lockdown situation.
Exactly.
I've seen the disparity between the underfunded science class on this side of the tracks and the other science experiments in field trips that, right down, well, here in Houston, NASA's right down the street. Every kid is there. That should be, if every kid in Houston and the surrounding area has not visited the NASA space station, that's child abuse.
I got the Cape an hour away. They can go there. They can go to space school.
Right. If children are not being able to take a field trip, a day trip, to go see how that works, to talk with the astronauts, to the engineers, to the technicians, to see how that runs, man, you're depriving. And here in Houston, we can boast about we have the largest medical center in the world, largest medical center. You cancer research, all this, but if the only thing that a child in the hood can hope for is maybe get a job in the kitchen.
Ooh, ouch.
And that we have to, and I have no problem with it, but when the majority of our doctors are coming from other countries, like you were saying in Connecticut, the majority of the teachers are from other countries.
Yep.
And we can cultivate our own. And this is the melting pot, and we need all hands on deck. But again, why aren't our children here encouraged in those areas? And that a person has to get a visa to come here and work because they telling us we don't have the manpower or woman power to fill those jobs, to fill those positions in Silicon Valley.
Well, you know what? The people that are here, that are the foreign, a couple of foreign. I think I told you, doctor, the same thing.
Yeah.
A microsurgeon from Italy operated on me after a car accident that I died in.
Wow.
Died in my brain, and they're putting the nerves and everything else in that back together again. This surgeon from Italy. You know why he was here? He told me later on when I left the hospital. They were there because the technicians or the equipment that we have here was so superior to what they had there.
Wow.
He loved working on me. It was like, wow, I get to play with this toy. And they did. I mean, this was almost all AI technology. And this is a long time ago. We're talking 92, 93.
Wow.
Now, guess what it is today? Today, the machine maps your brain, and all you do is you program it what it's going to do. And it does it. And it does it better than a human would do, because a human can move. A human can make a mistake. But once it's in the memory and that of what they'd already mapped, this is what kids are doing. Kids are going out. They're getting very excited over coding, writing programs, all this stuff. Where did it start? I'll tell you where it started. They're games. The first kid that plays the games and everything else, then they go, man, that really, excuse my expression, that sucks. And they're, okay, what do you want? Well, it's got to be fixed. Why don't you fix it? Bam. I just laid the what's the lancet down. Why don't you fix it? And then the kids go out and they learn coding. Coding is going to be the next thing that we're coming up to. And these kids are so damn smart. I mean, I got a 3-year-old that fixes tablets. Yeah. Tablet working if it died.
Yeah.
He's 3. Imagine what, I mean, he'll forget, and his mother forget about it. She was, I put her in computer school a long time ago. She came out a monster. She makes easily big 6 figures right now in computer work. So, I mean, I'm serious. And she works for everything from the government to the Navy to a bunch of different things and that, and she's an outside agency. These kind of things that are there for the kids. But there's one big, big, big thing. Look at the kid. Study the kid. Find out what the kid wants. Find out how the kid is bending. How the trees, which side is it going to? Which way is the wind blowing? Does he
Right.
like music? Does he like engineering? Does he like this? And then culture it. If it develops, fine. If it doesn't, keep keep looking. Keep looking. And you'll find something somewhere. You'll touch that one little sensitive spot on that child in his soul that will say, I want that. Not, I can do that. Not, you can teach me that. None of the above. The kid says, I want that.
Right. And Bob, let me interject that that's a part of that exposure that I speak of. That's to show the kids what's available. And again, they learn from their toys. When you give
Mm,
them little trucks or whatever, dollhouse, whatever it is, let them explore, let them play with it. And if the child wants to take, you got them a handheld device, a tablet, they want to take it apart and see how to take it apart, put it together, look at the circuitry. Let them, let them. Direct. In today's time, man, if you can't solve your problems with Google and YouTube, well, it's the information is there.
oh,
It's
yeah.
readily accessible. And then to have some kids make it and some kids not, again, I find we can make no excuses for that. We can make no excuses for, and again, whether it's having three granddaughters, this is how I look at it. This is that, well, I have a vested interest in how young males are developing. I have vested interest that, yes, that I want to make sure that there's some young males that they're coming up, that they will be suitable if my granddaughter so choose to deal with them. Yeah, that, hey, they're ready. So I have to, that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. That though I have, that my grandchildren now, they're 300 miles away. But here in Houston, well, I got to make sure these youngsters, because when they come down to visit, they may meet them. So I got to know where they're at.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
know what? I'm serious. They are a Skype call away.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, I thought, like I told my daughter, I said, they can get on every night. I mean, I got it. It's on the phone. It's
Right.
on, it's on the computers. I always have my laptop with me and
Right.
things. They can get me anywhere. You want to
Right.
talk to Grandpa? Come on in.
Well, when
They
when
there.
they interact with their peers, when we're not there, yeah, we have, that, and though there's only, we have to again let them be free to explore and to experience things,
Sure.
but yet give them the guidance as much as possible. So when FaceTime, when they're actually here, we go out to the mall or we go out to the amusement park, whatever, that's when I want to know that, all right, okay, and I can see the signs that okay, all right, yeah, okay, that I may have played a part in his mentorship,
Hmm?
that I'm going to his school, that I'm providing more, or some accessibility of more to that school, to that community, that I know I'm playing an active part in the development of these children.
But you see what you just said? What did I say before? You don't remember what I
Uh,
said. Okay.
uh,
What I said was, if you are a mad scientist,
oh, right, okay,
okay, that's what you're doing. You're a
yeah,
mad scientist. You are creating something. This is something that you are helping to create.
yes,
It is a beautiful feeling. And what
yes.
I'm saying is everyone was excited over creating all these kids with all these brains that, like, forget about it. I mean, you could let them go or not. I
Yes.
I vote on or not. I want them. I want those people to, like, for instance, I'll give you a good one for both of you, but I mean, I usually don't speak to this ever. A couple times I've spoken in a couple of schools. because people want to know what it's like to be on the radio. What do you do? You know, and they had, and I was called the Van Halen of the radio and all kinds of things. But because I played, I mean, I had a guitar, I was the lead singer, I jumped all over the place, just like you always seen all those the '70s bands do. But I would laugh at the kids and everything else, and I would say to the kids that all the time. I said, "Well, I says, you know all these bands and everything else now. Are you a musician?" No, I don't want to do that. Well, what do you want to do when you grow up? I don't know. I was really thinking of. See, right there, I had the kids. These are kids that didn't know what I was doing, but I had it enough. I held it in enough that I asked. You
Yes.
ask the question, you get the answer. Don't
Yes.
stand there and try to beat around the bush. Kids don't beat around the bush. They
Yes.
just they go from A to B. Forget C. That's gone.
Brutally,
Oh
yes.
yeah. Oh yeah. Brutally honest. And I say to them, I said, look, you got something on your mind, something's bothering you. Maybe I'm bugging you for something. Well, what's up? Well, no. You didn't hear me. What is bugging you? Come on, tell me. I won't do anything. I don't care. I mean, it can go in this ear and out that ear. Go ahead, tell me. And I had a kid one time tell me a really, really good story. And I said to him, I said, okay. I said, so you take everything that you just told me and fix it. But I can't fix it. Oh, yes, you can.
Yes.
Oh, all right. So I told him how to fix the thing and everything else. About 6 months later, now I saw the kid in that again. And the guy says, um, Mr. Charles, it worked.
Yeah.
He had a little problem at home, and a couple of things that he had. I said, this is how you do it. You gotta. I said, this is a sales world. Everything is sold. Everything can be sold. I said, everything has a value. I said, how much does your life value you? How much does your smarts value you? How much your parents value you? Well, I got an A on all three of them right across the line. Well, this kid went home and he conditioned his parents, which was the best. I mean, he told his parents, "Look, I want to do this, this, this. Please, can I do?" I told him, I said, don't ever just tell him anything. I said, always say please, thank you, etc. So the kid was very, very nice and everything else. Now, but he is doing just fine.
Yes. Yeah. And,
It
and,
was
and a
such
simple question of asking,
right.
what's wrong? What's going on? And a lot of times children, they just need that listening ear. And a lot of times, I'm sure we can say for ourselves that a lot of times when we may be asked a question or explain something, sometimes we work it out through that explanation. I just, then we see how it sounds like, oh, okay, well, yeah, let me make the adjustments here. We could just by that expression, having that outlet, that means, oh man, that speaks volume, because a lot of times children feel that nobody listens to them, nobody cares. You show a kid you care, that you are genuine, that if you say you're going to do it, you do it. That, hey, I will help you, but first I want you to try for yourself. And Bobby, he came back.
Yep.
He finished it. So exposing them to that, to realness, to love, and Dr. Randall, as to kindness, to sincerity. That man, I'm here for you. I was speaking to a group of kids one time, and they was troubled high school kids. All right, and it was about 6 of them, and out of the 6, one said, the other 5 said they wanted to be, athletes and record producers and all of that. One kid said he wanted to be an architect. And I almost, what? What? He said, I can't draw, but man, I would love to be an architect. So I called the architect, and I meant, what is the qualification? Because man, if this kid is serious, man, I will support you, man. What do you need if that's what you want to do? Because you're thinking so far out of the box from what everybody else is thinking. Yeah, all right, if you have athletic ability, if you can run, if you can shoot and all that, fine. If you know how to, engineer on the keyboards and all that, hey, beautiful. But man, there's so much more. And again, having that exposure, that why can't, and again, part of more, why can't a child, young adult, develop their own community? One of the questions, what do you see wrong in your community? What would you like to change? Or not using that terminology wrong. What would you like to change? What difference do you, asking a 18-year-old, 19-year-old, what would you like, or 13, 14-year-old, what would you like to change in your community? And hearing them out. Okay. All right, you'd like to see this. You need a school, you need, a playground or whatever. You need, at the community center, we need more computers. All right, well, how do you think we can go about getting those? And then, well, if they say, I don't know, well, all right, well, what are some of the major computer companies? Well, in here in Houston, we got HP,
Good one.
and in Texas, we got Michael Dell, so exploring that. Well, what are our options? Taking them to that process. Like, and again, one of the programs, project management, community development in their own community, identifying their resource identification. And people want to say, hey, well, we're the most richest, the richest, the most resourceful. All right. Well, we're going to prove it. Yeah, we're going to prove it. The whole truth, the whole you true to what you say, all right, and not make any excuses that the resources are here, and all right, and a few times that I've written politicians, well, I kept note of those politicians, what kind of reply I got. Okay, all right, you say you for this? Oh, okay, all right, we'll see, we'll see, yeah. So accountability and allowing those children to explore and to work out solutions for themselves. Because they see it a little bit different than, like again, Bob, you mentioned about the pencils. Well, man, they may need some pencils for some things, but that internet connection, that's where we're at right now. That's where we're at.
Yeah, but they still got to fill in the little holes on
They
them.
got to fill in the holes.
I'm sorry, still need that pencil.
From the basics, speaking of basics, I think that they're once again implementing cursive writing in school. For a while in some schools, cursive writing was taken away. Yep. Oh my goodness. And that's one of the first areas where you learn creativity. And for a child to see his name and to be creative. Well, I want to make my C like this, or I like, wow, you're gonna take that away from that pencil or pen? Yeah, to give them and to keep that and not rely totally on technology, but to show them the basics and to understand, to be able to express their creativities in multi platforms. That we need that. And what we find a lot today, and we've found this, we've seen this throughout history, especially here in the United States. And we touched on it with Microsoft, that a lot of the successful people either hadn't gone to college or dropped out. What is that telling you? That they had a creative genius, they had an idea that they were encouraged to just stick with, in their parents' garage or in their apartment, that they had an idea that they didn't need college, they didn't need it. So there's a lot of things that. There is some values, like, if you have a doctor that's going to conduct some brain surgery, well, we kind of want them to be formally educated. But in other areas that there's college may be a hindrance. Bob, you mentioned, a business degree. My undergrad is in business and public administration. I can manage a business, but you can go through a whole 4 years of business and not know that all you need is a DBA and I think the last time I got a DBA was $12 at the county courthouse.
Yep.
And I'm in business. I'm in business. Yeah, but you will pay, and this is the irony of it. A child will pay $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for a business degree and come out of college $70,000, $40,000, $80,000, $90,000 in debt. And if they're lucky, they're making $30,000 or $40,000 a year. If they're lucky. With a business degree, with a business management degree, I mean, the entry level is maybe, if you're lucky, 40, if you're lucky, So, wow, they're already, their debt is twice as much as their yearly earning. And it's going to take them maybe, what, 20 years to pay that off with interest?
30, 35.
That is child abuse. That is child abuse.
Yeah, but
You,
you see, mine was tied two ways. You said creation or being creative. Okay.
uh-huh.
At the time, my college education was you couldn't split classes. You couldn't split, what you were doing, your major.
Right.
So one major I took in one university, and the other one I took in the other university. But
Okay.
this is back though when credit was $90.
Yeah.
So if you worked real hard, you could pay it yourself. You didn't need the government to come in and do anything. So I was never in debt for anything. But when I took the music was in one school, one university, and that's all I did was that and my whatever subjects that I needed. The ones that I didn't take there, I took in the other college, but the other one had the business. The business was the stuff that I needed because I had to go way up. We're not talking the business of the guy that walks around and paints the side of a house. And that I talked to companies like MasterCard, Capital, invest companies and things. That's what I talked about. And I was in the mortgage business. And we were doing mortgages, big mortgages, all over the place. So I became a vice president of a mortgage company. But I was doing talks for people who were smarter than me. That's what I always just used to think.
Yeah.
It was like, how did those people get to where they are? Like I was only making them maybe 125 a year. Those guys were making 125 million a year, maybe. And I'm like, and trust me when I tell you, man, I could run rings. I mean, I used to talk to these guys, and they used to pan faces. I could be the best comedian in the world, and nobody smiled. I mean, these guys are the kind of guys that you want to get off your chair and kick them in the shin a couple of times to see if they're alive or are they breathing. But these are the kind of people that I talked in front of. They're the big guys, or I used to call them in their cocoon in a way. But that's the education that I got because I was excited to get it. Now you take a guy that's a performer in music, and you put him in front of a bunch of people, and he's a performer with a brain that came from a college that taught him about finance. Ooh, that's a character right there. So it all depends upon what buttons to push.
Yes.
All these kids, there's good buttons and there's bad buttons. I mean, I knew my music and everything else. I was playing and singing when I was 2 years old. My mother was a singer,
Right.
and it was in the family. So that's where I came from. But since that was already inside of me, that excitement, I didn't need the same excitement that I did for the finance stuff. Finance stuff was like, hey, wow, all I got to do is add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Hey, I'm great. Boom. I was there, man. No problem whatsoever. And these kind of things that were things that made me excited. Now, go after the kids and see what makes them excited. Now, you said internet. There is one thing in the internet that's kind of sort of a drawback in a way. Internet thinks for you. You want the kid to think for themselves. There is a fine line in between the thinking for yourself and you let the computer think. There's a lot of kids that I even trained in the retail business that couldn't run a cash register.
Yes.
They couldn't give cash. In other words, say you gave me a 20, all right, but I had to give you back change. And your change, and that was supposed to be, say, $17.56. That was going to be your change from whatever sale you had. But the computer went down. The computer in the register went down. So now you got to figure it out. This is his bill. He gave me $20. What do I give him back? Do you know these kids couldn't count backwards?
Yeah.
Because they were never, ever taught basic economy or
Right.
economics.
And after going through 12 years, or
Of
whether
school.
they're still in it, or upon completion, couldn't count backwards.
Nope.
Yeah. And
Nope.
and I really seen that, and going back to our favorite term, dumbing down, when at fast food restaurant they would put French fries, little
Yep.
French fries, hamburger. Like, oh my goodness, that
Yep.
in the And so those, going back to what you were saying, basic basic skills that if the internet went down tomorrow, and a lot, and that, well, let me bring this back around to mental health, that now we're being faced with that if someone leaves their phone at home, anxiety, that, for the most part, we can talk, and guys, I'm loving this, we can talk for hours, and whether my phone rings or not, I've turned off all the alerts that, Dr. Randall, if it might take me a while to get back with you, because I don't want that alert. I don't want in the middle of our conversation. No. So we're creating with this technology anxiety, depression. If the internet goes down, if they can't log on, and if someone unfriends them, I know on Facebook one time my son unfriended me. I'm like, what? Like, hey, you unfriend what? So and people, that it's based on the likes. Things are based on the likes. That how many likes you got, and and there's some benefits. But what if that all goes away? What if that mental health, that, man, we can still function, we can still operate, that we still know how, snail mail, other means that, hopefully maybe, well, I've done away with my landline, so we're going to, but there's other means of communication, and that we have to be prepared that, hey, this may not always be here. And due to the surveillance and spying and all that, we might want to limit our use. We may want to limit our use. And
I got an idea for you. Go build a fire and give them a blanket.
There you go.
Smoke signals.
Smoke signal.
So we and our children have to understand this. They have to understand that, hey, don't become too dependent. Read a book. And a lot of people, though they, we can, I have Kindle and, I can, pull up some stuff, but just to touch that book, just to read it, have it in my hand and turn the page and, to enjoy reading for reading's sake, and not just, just be immobile staring at a screen. Man, that's, that's a good feeling.
Being in the radio business, then I get about, I would say, a good anywhere between 2 and 5 books a week from writers and everything else. And that they want to come on a show and that or whatever, and then they want to schedule, or they want to come in and tell people about their book or whatever. I got to read those books.
Yeah.
I have to know more than the author when the author comes on. So now, what is it? What's the big deal for that? No big deal. Look, I've been reading it for a long time, but these kids, let me tell you something. They are open mind, like you said, sponges. Those kids, and that, believe me when I tell you, these kids are going to be able to. It took me a while to get it down, but speed reading, it's actually reading. You can read a page in, I don't know, maybe it takes me 20, 30 seconds to do a page. Kids can do that too, because they're into all this technology and everything else. You ever see a kid on a cell phone? These kids are with their fingers in it. Okay, yeah. And I said, what did you do? Well, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. I'm sitting there, my mouth is somewhere down around my belt.
Right.
Duh. How'd you do that? Seriously, these kids are going to be giants if we push them to their limits.
Right. And push them to and again, giving them that exposure and giving them those options that, hey, there's alternatives to being, playing Nintendo or playing games all day. That that, hey, there's some other things. Diversifying. Yeah, diversifying. I think that would be the don't be too locked into this medium. That there's other things out there that will greatly enhance your sensory perception, to touch and feel and experience, to explore, and yes, know how the internet works, know how, know the capabilities. These phones nowadays, $700 to $1,000, and we've, and guys like this, we're just scratching the surface of what they can do. And like you say, Bob, kids, I mean, they do so much. Like, oh my goodness! Like, here, put this on for me, or pull that up for me. That the time that it would take us to figure it out.
That's right. That's right. And they know it already. They're way ahead of us already.
Way ahead of us. Yeah.
Doctor, why don't
Wow.
you summarize and bring us home?
Yeah. No, what a great show. And what I think about you, Rashad, and for the M.O.R.E program, the M.O.R.E institution, is that you're taking, well, you're educating teachers also, but you're taking our youth and you're showing them what is possible, not only in our world, but what is possible inside of them. And you're
Yes.
allowing them to develop and grow and choose. And so,
Yes.
I just think that's incredible. And I think the M.O.R.E program eventually will supplant our educational system the way it is now and our political system, because we're going to be growing a whole bunch of leaders that we so desperately need. So, that's what I think about, your program. I think it's much bigger, much greater than you can imagine, because, I think that's going to really reshape, our current world, and we need it. We need it.
Thank you, Dr. Randall. And I look forward to working with you in the future. You and Patrick and Bob, we can get Bob in on this, that we can change. We can be the change.
That's right.
That's it. Each one teach one.
That's the name of the show.
Yeah. Ooh, I like it already.
Yeah. See? Yeah, there you go. It's all over the blogs and everything else right now anyway, Doc. So hey. Everybody knows.
Oh, that's wonderful. But great show, and like I said, we're all in the right place, and like I said, this is the right time, for it, because our world needs it. Because look at everybody; they're all at home, locked down.
Yes, we have a captive audience.
That's right. So, and then our kids can come and teach us, because this is, well, just get outside and get your sunshine, open up your brain, start dreaming again, and get going. So I think our youth will lead us out of this.
Where can everybody find you, Derrick?
At learnmore.org. LearnMorre.org. Learnmore.org. That's my contact information on that. And looking forward to hearing from anyone that's interested and have something to contribute, because this is a global initiative. And we want to work with people who are like-minded and right-minded and willing to make a change, to be a difference.
Well, there you go. And anybody wants a copy of this show, this is how you do it. Just write to bobcharlesshow@live.com. Everything comes in there that has to do with it. Anybody that wants anything, or you want to make a comment on something, or you want us to answer a question for you, send it in. bobcharlesshow@live.com. Can't go wrong, ever. And first of all, that these guys are going to have a copy of the show anyway, so you can get it from them too. All right. Doctor, say goodnight.
Hey, wonderful show. Next time.
There you go. I just want to tell everybody, hey, listen, you know what? You've been listening to Pyramid One World Radio. We are all over the world. The whole world's listening to us. I get emails from guys that can't speak English. Then I have to write back to them. What? This is your world. It could be your world. All you have to do is put two things together: your energy and your love. God bless y'all. Bob Charles.